right? So here's how we kind of calculate that. The ARV on your screen is short for after repair value. So if that property has any damage to it, if you were to fix that damage up and then you were to list that property, let's say that price would be $100,000. Well, if you take that $100,000, you take 10% off of it, that's $90,000. Then from that, you subtract any repairs that have to be done. So let's say there was about $10,000 of repairs. You take that off of that price, and now you're down to about an $80,000 list price. And at that $80,000 list price, you have a compelling enough discount for a short sale buyer to want to play, and you have a price that will net the lender most likely as much or more than if they foreclose on the property themselves. So let's recap where we are in this process. We have a delinquent borrower who has engaged you as our licensed professional to help them short sale their house. You've executed all the listing documents, you've priced it appropriately, it's on the MLS. You've engaged LMS to help you work with the seller and the lender to get this ball over the goal line and get this short sale approved. Now we got to get the property sold. So let's talk about the buyer side of this. Whether it's you engaging your own buyer or another buyer's agent bringing a buyer to the table, through that buyer's agent, you want to be sure that that buyer, their expectations are managed properly as well. Same thing applies for them. The process takes anywhere from 3 to 9 months, so you want to be patient. They can't be in a hurry. Ideally, if they're renting, they're on a month-to-month lease. And if they have to sell a property, hopefully we're not dealing with a sale contingency. You want to try to stay away from that if you can with this type of buyer. We remind them that the lender is in control and that LMS is going to continue to keep everybody updated along this whole process. And with every purchase agreement that we get signed by the buyer and seller, it's a best practice to get a short sale addendum signed and attached to that purchase agreement, which has all of these disclosures there and potential risks for the buyer. But here's the thing you want to emphasize to the buyer, that this whole purchase is contingent on that buyer getting that price approved that they have on their contract that the seller agreed to. If they don't get it approved, well, the good news is that they can walk, they can keep their deposit, and the only loss they had was time. There is literally no financial risk to the buyer. So now we're on the final step of closing this transaction. This is actually the easy part. You've done all the hard parts. So the buyer's expectations are managed, the seller's expectations are managed. You have a professional team working with the lenders to get them to approve the price, assuming we priced it properly. We've done everything in our power to get this across the goal line and get you a commission check and a closing. Two things are going to happen at this point. The lender is either going to counter at a different price, at which point the buyer can agree, just like any buyer and any counteroffer, to accept that offer or counter again. Or, in the best case scenario, the lender is going to approve the price. At that point, the clock starts ticking on getting all the buyer's contingencies cleared. Now the buyer wants to get their underwriting complete, you get your inspections done, get all that cleared up, and we're ready to get this thing closed. The last thing you have to do is collect a testimonial at the closing table, your nice photo, and if you're working with the buyer, grab that photo on the front lawn and start collecting some evidence of how you are really good at working with buyers and sellers with short sales. All right, and with that, we come to the close of the 6-step short sale formula training. Hopefully you found this valuable and we were able to take something that was maybe ambiguous or a little bit overwhelming to you and kind of bring it down to simple steps. You just have to remember that this isn't too much different than a traditional sale. You have us in your corner. We're here to support you and your sellers and your buyers. So just keep in mind that, oh, by the way, speaking of buyers, if you're working with a buyer who's purchasing a short sale listing and that listing agent doesn't have experience with short sales and they don't have a short sale processing team behind them, feel free to bring us into that mix. We'd be glad to talk to that listing agent and that seller to see if we're a fit to help them and you along this process. But if you have any questions and you don't have listings right now, then be sure that you're plugged into our Facebook community. You can find that link to the Facebook community in the video description below. And then again, don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel so you can stay abreast of all the different updates, because there's always new developments, especially in a space that is going to reemerge again as a pretty significant force and a big source of inventory on the MLS. So again, hopefully you enjoyed the training. It was a pleasure for us. We look forward to talking to you. Don't forget, next short sale listing you get, give us a call, and we'll help you guys get that deal closed. Talk to you soon.